we're heading. All right, and good afternoon, everyone. Spin Ventures here. We are in Dayton, Ohio, here at the Carolyn Historical Park. It is owner's existence to the generosity of Colonel and Miss Edward A. Deeds. Carolyn, built of granite, steel, and limestone, reaches skyward for an impressive 151 feet. The gift of Miss Deeds, it was dedicated on August 23rd in 1942, following the completion of Carolyn. Colonel Deeds provided for the creation of a park museum containing exhibits related to Dayton and the development of transportation. The 65-acre park is administered by the Educational and Musical Arts Incorporated, a subsidiary of the Dayton Foundation. As you can see, the 151-foot thing is right there. The tower, 151 feet, dedicated on August 23rd in 1942. So let's go ahead and head on in and explore the history of the city of Dayton, Ohio. All right, so let us begin by the early history of Colonel Edward A. Deeds, as an accomplished musician in the Carolyn music heard while traveling to Bruges, Belgium, in Germany, sharing the music with the people of Dayton. Completion of Deeds' Carolyn in 1941. Since then, thanks to generosity and leadership and the individuals, family foundations, and other entities listed here, capital projects and physical expansions to Carolyn Park have grown dramatically. 65 acres now contains dozens of buildings, shared Dayton's region unique history with visitors across the globe. Early Wright brothers claimed to be housed at Carolyn Park. This just goes down. I'm just going to show you guys some of the pictures here of what you can see at the historical park in Dayton, Ohio, as well as some of the founders and sponsors of the park, innovators, and setting up for the Wright Patterson plane, pioneers, and local historians as well. Moreover, through here, you read some of that, and we can also, but mostly we're going to go ahead, we're going to make our way outside of the building here to look at some of the historical homes, as well as the Wright brothers' first plane in 1913 that was brought here from North Carolina. This is a 1946 Lady Dayton bicycle made by the Huffman Manufacturer Company. Just one of the many Dayton-made bicycles on display here at the historical park. All right, so here is the locomotives in the 1800s. This is the first steam railroad passenger train in America, which in 1836, and the Mohawk and Hudson Railroad Company, to run from Albany to Schenectady, New York, 16 miles. 1830, work was condensed on the road, went through popular towns, and also there was no fear of consequences, traveled across fields, uphill and down. Land was given to the railway company or saw trifling consideration. It was finished in 1831. Both locomotives, engines, and horses were used on the road. Tickets were sold at stores or shops or by the conductor. Trains proceeded at a very slow rate. Stationary engines were at the top of the hills. Trains were hauled uphill or let downhill by a strong rope. The brakemen, they used hand levers to stop or check the train. Here's some of the pictures of engine 1851. And among the earliest locomotives, 1850, to transport mail and passengers, both of them. There's the finished product in 1870. And one of the stops was in Dayton. All right, so we have made it outside the back side of the museum. We're gonna head on into each historical home. We got a train station, actually, right there. We're gonna start there. We're gonna make our way left. We're gonna go clockwise. We're gonna make our way at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, noon, 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna start out at the train station, where in 1826, where the first steam locomotive ran right down these tracks. This is the ticket office for when you get on the train. This is where you would board the train at this train station. Dixon and Shefford Junction. As I about fall. Alright, so in here you can see some of the luggage that old passenger trains in the 1800s would take to go all over the different parts of the country. All kinds of baggage and everything else. So, all that. There's Sam's reflection. Alright, so we are right up here. This is the grist mill. This is the old grist mill. Robert Patterson, the grandfather of the future NCR founder John Patterson, owned several mills on his Dayton homestead. Stone Mill and Sawmill, roads between Main and Brown Streets, were named for Patterson's mills. This grist mill, 1800s, water-powered mills were a common sight. Mills ground corn and wheat into flour, carded and spun wool, crushed flax into licensed oil, sawed lumber, and an abundant water supply was a boon to the small community of Dayton. 1823, there were 50 grist mills along the Miami River, 11 in Montgomery County alone. Okay. So here, this is the tower. This is the Old River Park Swimming Pool Light Tower. This tower is located just off Patterson Boulevard near Carolyn Park. The swimming pool could accommodate 5,000 people. Colonel Edward A. Deeds, chairman of the National Cash Register and Carolyn Park founder, began developing a 166-acre Old River Park in 1937 as a recreational park for the employees of NCR and their families. In addition to the pool, the park had also a large bathhouse, a 1.5-mile boating lagoon, picnic facilities, tennis courts, and baseball diamonds, a miniature golf course, a giant checker and chess boards, and more. In 1998, due to the declining park attendance and increased cost, NCR closed the park and removed the swimming pool, but kept the tower in place. University of Dayton bought the property in 2009, donated the tower to the Dayton History Museum in 2018. So right here is the Deeds Barn. Being too busy to change phonograph record, the men working in this building listened to the song When You and I Were Young, Maggie, over and over again through the night. Oh, you can go in, okay. This is a replica of the carriage barn that stood behind the home of Edward and Edith Deeds at 319 Central Avenue in Dayton. In original barn, from 1908 to 1912, a group of young engineers and inventors headed by Deeds and Charles F. Kettering, developed the modern electric automobile, ignition, starter, and lighting systems. Nicknamed the Barn Gang, the group became the nucleus of the Dayton Engineering Laboratories, the Delco. Replica built in 1949 in Carolyn Historical Park. Let's head inside. This was one of the cash registers, National Cash Register in your store. This was by the general manager in 1903. Edward Deeds directed one of NCR's most significant divisions in the invention department, combining the curiosity of an engineer with the administrative skills of a corporate manager. Deeds set out to make his mark on the company's main product. He planned to electrify the cash register. This is it right here. And as it went on, also with the automobile, the Barn Gang. This is it. Young men throughout the U.S. were excited about the future of automobiles when Henry Ford designed the Model T in Detroit. Edward Deeds would build his own motor car in the carriage house behind his home in Dayton. It was called the Suburban 60. Learn more about automotive technology while entrepreneurs who more capital pursued the manufacture of automobiles. Deeds proposed Kettering two inventions to put on a car. Auto manufacturers everywhere realized the ignition weak link in motor car, encouraged by Cadillac's Henry Leland. Deeds and Kettering moved their experimental equipment from NCR to Deeds' carriage house, where it could develop nights and weekends to the project. They were soon joined by other moonlights and dubbed the Barn Gang. Members included William Crest, William Anderson, Robert Demery, Zerb Bradford, William Mooney, John Reese, Ralph Todd, and H.C. Phillips. These are all the different parts, all different pictures of them working on the automobile. This is the Suburban 60 of Deeds. This is the Barn Gang when they were working on the automobiles and the different tools they used to help build the automobile to like this. And believing in Delco, Henry Leland promised to use the system on Cadillac if it worked. Late 1910, a successful test in Deeds' barn triggered the race to production. Obstacles were overcome, and in early 1912, thanks to the Barn Gang, America was placed in the driver's seat of the first modern automobile. Okay, so we are in the factory of the Corliss engine. George H. Corliss engine contained innovation, greatly improved the efficiency of a steam engine by reducing the waste of steam power, creating steady flow of electric power. Corliss engine operated at the National Cash Register Company from 1902 until 1948. It generated electric power for the company and heated the buildings with the exhaust steam. So both of these right here are steam engines. This is what it looks like inside of a steam locomotive, and there right outside the window is the real engine from 1948. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. But this is what inside of a steam locomotive train engine looks like. So in front here, these are the pressure gauges that you would find inside the cab of the locomotive, where you have the exhaust pressure gauges, how much pressure in the boiler, and steam pressure, how much exhaust and pressure is coming out of the smokestack. So here is the 1948 steam locomotive. First one was made in Dayton, right here in Dayton, Ohio. Now we can't go inside, but I can also just kind of take a look. We can also take a look inside the cab. You see, it's not real big. Very small. Tiny locomotive. Too bad we can't go inside it. I would love to. You can see marching through the snow here. Kind of look inside there a little bit. Kind of can't see it at all. You can see a little bit inside there. You can see the controls and the mechanisms of the throttle, the brake. See the whistle. Doesn't have a bell. The bell is not there, but that's where the steam would come out. What's called the smokestack, right there. That's where it would come out, the smokestack. Of course, the side rods as well. Side rods connected to the pressure boiler. And it triggers the rod to pull back and forth on the pistons, what the long rods are for. And that's what makes the train go. Here in Dayton. All right, so we are at the Dayton Sales Company. Early 20th century, many as 14 automobile manufacturers in Dayton. A few of them produce automobiles in real quantity. The most prominent of Dayton car manufacturers include the Dayton Motor Car Company, Speedwell Motor Car Company. In 1909, a Stoddard Dayton-made Dayton Motor Car Company won the first race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is about 3 hours from here in Indiana, the state of Indiana. Average speed of 57.3 miles per hour. Another Stoddard Dayton was pace car at the Indianapolis 500 in 1911. It was built in 1981 here at Carolyn Historical Park. So we go on in here. Here are some of the Stoddard. This is the Stoddard 1908 touring car. Carried a $2,700 price tag. We purchased in 1908. The windshield, top electric lights would at each cost extra. It has a wheelbase of 121 inches, powered by a 45 horsepower engine. Succeeding Stoddard Manufacturing Company, the Dayton Motor Car Company, was incorporated in 1904. And then from there, it was the remaining property, assets and property of the Dayton Motor Car Company were purchased by the Maxwell Motor Company in 1913. Move on here, talks more about the manufacturing and the automobile. The Courier of 1910. This is the Courier. This two-passenger Courier Roadster featured a 100-inch wheelbase and 4-cylinder engine. When purchased new, it sold for $1,075. Notice the right-handed steering and accessible toolbox on the running board. So it's got a toolbox on the running board right on the right side of the driver's seat. Serves as a trunk. The Courier Car Company, a division of Dayton Motor Car Company, was created to offer a less expensive option to the automobile buying public. It offered two body styles, a 5-passenger touring car or a touring 2-passenger roadster, along with its parent company. The Dayton Motor Car Company failed when the United States Motor Company went into receivership in 1912. See here, it's got a lot. This is the Speedwell and the Hatfield, 1908 and 1910. Both cars. Okay, imagine walking right through this door and there's a giant locomotive right in front of you. Looks like it's about to barrel down. But no sense of urgency. Your flood experience starts here. So here, so no sense. So this is talking about the 1913 flood in Dayton, where the waters from the river exceeded incredible amounts Floods have always been a part of Dayton's history. The earliest recorded flood occurred in 1805, when 8 feet of water inundated the streets of Dayton, consumed. And as a response, the city constructed a series of earthen levees to contain the rivers. Other noted floods occurred in 1828, 1847, 1866, and 1898. Typical response was to clean up the mess, patch up and strengthen the levees, carry on with life. While the 1898 flood was devastating, enough to make people think of a better system of flood protection, there seemed to be no sense of urgency until eve of tragedy. As the 20th century dawned, Dayton was Ohio's 5th largest city, first in America for the number of patents issued. This innovative city's 1,000 factories produced everything from airplanes and automobiles to sheet music and sporting goods. Starting on Easter Sunday 1913, Dayton faced the greatest test in history, as 4 trillion gallons of water overwhelmed the region. Throughout the Miami Valley, Great Flood of 1913 claimed over 350 lives, destroyed over 14,000 homes, and caused over $1 million in damages. Through perseverance, determination, and strong leadership, a pioneering regional flood control system was completed less than 10 years later, which protected the city forever.
That's $100 million, by the way, not $1 million.
Here's the factory whistle. Morning of March 25th, as the river waters rose, NCR blew its factory whistle to alert the citizens of impending flood. They heard from miles around. Many other Dayton factories did the same by joining the ringing of church bells. 1923, Charles Marlin, an NCR watchman, remembered the whistle fondly. I came very near regulating everything by that whistle. Meals, sleep, holidays, New Year's, and all. I've heard it blow in honor of many events, breaking of sales records, which were made possible only through increased production, the welcoming many distinguished guests to the factory, the shipment of a 1 millionth registrar, and that first class of 2000. Only once I heard it blow as a warning to the citizens of the community to flee for their lives, and that was on the morning of the great 1913 flood. The rains continued to fall throughout the day on Tuesday, March 25th. The waters continued to rise within the city. Based on the experience of prior floods, Daytonians, I had it right, thank you. Thought they would only have to elevate some of their belongings on high pieces of furniture in their homes. Little did they know that before it was over, many Dayton homes were flooded to the second floor. Floodwaters continued to rise, and in the morning of Wednesday, March 26th, until it crested at 2 a.m. at 10 to 12 feet deep through much of Dayton, with depths up to 20 feet in some of the lowest portions of the city. You can see by the pictures here the damage of the 1913 flood had consumed much of the streets, homes, and trees where there was no way to run but up. So here are some heroes of the flood. In days and weeks after the flood, the Dayton newspapers recounted many stories of people risking their lives to save others. Some used rowboats and took 317 people over the course of 3 days. And there were the Marcos later joined, William G. Sloan. He was also a star pitcher for the Dayton Marcos, only black team in Ohio Indiana League. The Marcos later joined the Negro National League when it formed in 1920. There's some of the heroes with their families that survived and also rescued people from the flood of 1913 in Dayton, Ohio.
And she taught Latin and English. for about 10 years here. She was active with the brothers and helping them with their, with the plane and everything. Their parents, Milton and Susan Wright, had met in college in Indiana, and Milton went on to become the bishop of the United Brethren Church of Christ.
Oh, wow.
And one of his duties was to publish a newsletter for the church, and he would enlist Orville Wilbur's help with the printing, so that's how they got interested in the print business. He also traveled a lot, which left Mother Susan at home kind of to raise the children. And Susan was the daughter of a carriage maker, and she had watched her father work with tools all of her life, probably been in there working with him. She is actually the one we credit with passing the mechanical skills to the boys. Man will never fly in our lifetime. And the next morning they get up and one brother would say to the other, I think we should try this. And that persistence is what is how that plane was made. Okay.
Wow.
So now I'm just going to talk about our two famous brothers, Wilbur and Orville. And neither one of these boys graduated from high school, so you have to kind of keep that in mind as we go along. When Wilbur was 11 and Orville was 7, their father brought them back a flying helicopter from a trip. Basically, it was a bamboo stick with two propellers and a rubber band device at the bottom that you would twist, and it would go flying up in the sky. Airy bike to the safety bike. And this opened a whole new world, particularly for women. So this is actually his sister Catherine and some of her college friends. As you can see, they're dressed in long dresses, totally not appropriate for this type of bicycle.
Correct.
So the boys opened their first cycle repair business. Over the years, they leased 5 different locations, and we're getting ready to go into a replica of the 5th location.
Okay.
It would have looked like the picture on the wall here. So we are actually standing on the undertaker's side at the moment, but I don't talk about that anymore.
Oh, wow. Did you get that? Yes. There it goes.
Well, I didn't touch anything.
I know, it just went off by itself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So this is a replica of the first airplane that was made by Orville and Wilbur Wright when they were in their teen years in Dayton, here in Dayton, Ohio. This is the exact replica, and there is some, we can go around on the side here. You can see it's very lightweight, as well as not very structured. It's only the first plane, but this is what they flew across the city of Dayton. This is the Wright Flyer 3. First flying machine. Repeatedly take off, fly under pilot control for a significant length of time, and land undamaged, and practical airplane. The Wright brothers considered it their most important airplane as their last experimental model in the airplane on which their first production aircrafts were based. This is the first airplane to be be designated as a National Historic Landmark. This airplane here. Oh. Why's it not working? Balance of the airplane. There's the original. I don't know why it's not working, but still. These are some of the moves that you can make with this biplane. A pitch, yaw, and a roll. The 1905 Wright Flyer 3. This is it. All right. Okay, so a great spin venture here at the Carillon Historical Park as we are leaving. Lots of history, the city of Dayton, not just from the city of Dayton, but with Orville and Wilbur Wright, creation of the first airplane in 1913, as well as automobiles with Henry Ford coming into Dayton, as well as the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Lots of history and lots of fun things to see at this museum.
Turn left
So we
onto
are going
Carrion
to
Boulevard.
head on over the bridge. I want to get a picture of the University of Dayton basketball arena as well as the football field. Thanks to Sam right here. We've been friends since high school for a while, and I was so glad to see him, and thanks to him for the
Turn
photography,
left onto Carrion
all the
Boulevard.
pictures that I will also be uploading as well on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Spin Ventures. Drop a like on the video, as well as comments down below of any historical sites in the state of Ohio we'll be looking to interest. And so, with that, we bid you adieu, and we will
In a
see you
quarter of a
all
mile,
on the
turn
next
left onto
Spin
Albert
Venture.
Boulevard.